Boy, oh boy, how's everyone doing in the trenches back? We're going to be talking about one of the oldest, if not the oldest division. So much history with it. We're going to go straight into the NFC North. Coach Kelly, give me something. What do you think about the NFC North this year? Historical, things that you've seen in the past. Go ahead and take it over, man.
The North Division, the old NFC Central. Yeah, it has a long history that dates back to the 1920s. I mean, we have the great defenses of the Minnesota Vikings that were the Purple People Eaters. We have the ice cold field, the Lambeau Field. We have Soldier Field. We have the monsters of the Midway and the Chicago Bears. We have the old Metrodome and the Horn with the Minnesota Vikings. We have Vince Lombardi, Mike Ditka, Mike Singletary, those great Buddy Ryan defenses of the 80s. It is just so much that's going on with this division. I'm happy. I love this black and blue division.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Like today in football today, you have two of the best players in the league in Mac, Aaron Rodgers, a few young guys like Swift, I'm very excited to watch Swift and the Lions. Though they are the worst team in the division, I'm still very excited to watch a guy like Swift play with a guy like Matthew Stafford, which is a proven veteran. You know, you say what you want about Stafford, look at his numbers, whatever you want to say. He's in the league and he's one of the toughest quarterbacks in the NFL today. And, you know, the Lions might surprise some people this year. Maybe they're not the worst team in the division. But, Johnny, again, you have the Packers winning the division. Coach Kelly and myself have the Vikings winning the division. Johnny, give us the Aaron Rodgers talk on why the Packers are once again going to win the division.
Let me just start by saying one thing and one thing only. Anybody, and I have heard this from some people, who have the audacity to say that the Green Bay Packers have not gone back to the Super Bowl, have not won a Super Bowl, yada, 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 because Aaron Rodgers falters in the playoffs. Listen, go back and watch football, relearn football, go to the library. I know there's this thing called the library. I know you guys don't use it anymore because now there's Google. Go to the library, open a book, read, and please educate yourself. Aaron Rodgers is, statistically speaking, the most accurate quarterback in NFL history. He has a 4.3321 touchdown to interception ratio. He is number one on that list. That means for every almost 4.5 touchdowns he throws, he only throws one pick. In his entire career, he's only had double-digit picks twice, and it was early in his career. I mean, he's gotten that team that they have not helped him with at all, and we're going to talk about that also, how they really didn't help him this offseason. You guys will cover that a little bit later. But you're talking about a guy that has gotten this team, this franchise, to the NFC Championship game twice in the last 5 or 6 years with a mediocre squad at best, a mediocre to below mediocre defense at best. You know, decent receivers, completely no running game, and absolutely no line. This guy's running for his life his entire time. And he's got him in the NFC title game. I mean, what more do you want him to do? I think he is by far the best player in this division. I think he's one of the best players I've ever seen in my lifetime. He's one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen in my lifetime. And I would love to see him win one more. I don't know if it's going to happen in Green Bay with everything that's going on. The reason I like the Packers to win this division because they won it last year under their new head coach. The problem is now there's a lot of drama going on with Aaron Rodgers, and now he's 36, and you know they drafted Jordan Love, and we'll touch on that a little later. But are they going to go forward with Aaron Rodgers, or are they actually going to just move on from him, which I think would be a huge mistake? But if they can get the magic they had last year, you know, Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs can beat anybody. He literally shown he can beat practically anybody, you know. Now, I will say also that you guys are picking the Vikings. I'm not totally against that theory because defensively speaking, the Vikings have a much better defense than the Packers. And if they ever go head-to-head last week of the season or leading into the, you know, trying to get the last playoff spot, the Vikings are probably going to win that game because they have the better defense. And we'll touch a little bit. But Aaron Rodgers is God. So please stop bashing Aaron Rodgers. If you don't know who he is, educate yourself, go to the library, come back, and we'll talk.
Look, I'm gonna add on to what you said about Aaron Rodgers, and I've argued this before. I don't argue it anymore because Tom Brady did get that next ring, and Aaron Rodgers doesn't have not even half of the Super Bowl rings that someone like Montana or Tom Brady has. So it's kind of an irrelevant conversation to have. But if the Packers were to build a team like the Patriots build, or like the Steelers build, or like even the Cowboys, even though they token this, they still build a good team. Where you plug in a Aaron Rodgers to those teams, and you're talking a dynasty that we've never seen before. Before Aaron Rodgers, we did not see a quarterback with his talent, with his arm, with his playmaking ability, the way he controls games. He's just a spectacular talent to watch year in and year out, and it does not matter when the game is, what time the game is, where the game is. It's always, can you beat Aaron Rodgers? It's not about can you beat the Packers. In fact, and I hate to talk shit about him because Jordy Nelson is a good, decent wide receiver. But when he was with Aaron Rodgers made him look like Randy Moss. And he's not Randy Moss. He's nowhere near Randy Moss. And I've always argued that, Jordy Nelson is such a good wide. No. Aaron Rodgers made Jordy Nelson who he is. Point blank in the NFL, because you saw that when he left the Packers, he disappeared as a player in the NFL. Much respect to Jordy Nelson. I have nothing but respect for him, but that is just the truth of what he is as a wide receiver. We will get into the Packers. We will talk about the Love draft and how the Packers did not help out their number one player, and it's pretty much the Green Bay Rodgers. They do have Aaron Jones. Their defense stepped up a lot. So he is playing in a better team than he was in the past, but there still is a lot of room to improve. And they didn't do much in the draft, and I think everyone's talking about it, how they picked a quarterback for no reason, a guy that maybe isn't even ready for the NFL. And I get it, Aaron Rodgers. You drafted Aaron Rodgers with Brett Favre there. He sat for how many years and this and that, but we'll compare Love and Aaron Rodgers, but just from what I've seen on video, Love is not half the quarterback that Rodgers was when he came out of college. With that being said, we could start at the top, but we're not. We're going to start at the bottom with the Detroit Lions. Coach Kelly, give us, the fans listening, the Detroit Lion fans, give them something to look forward to. I already mentioned Swift. Maybe you can go into a little bit of Swift. What do you think of him? How do you think he's in the mix in that offense? Can he affect the Detroit Lions enough to win a few games this season?
I guess we'll start out on a good foot with the Detroit Lions. Mr. Swift, I think he's a good player, a first-round pick talent. I don't think he's a first-round talent. He can hit the hole. Those first tackles, he can get through them, but they slow him down too much. It's a significant slowdown for him coming through those holes on the college level. On the professional level, these guys are stronger, they're faster, and it's better competition week in and week out. So for Mr. Swift to improve in that section, he would have to get in the weight room and improve his game and to improve his breaking tackles. But offensively, with the system with Coach Matt Patricia runs, I think he'll be a good addition to the passing game. They're kind of heavy at running back by committee with both Scarborough and another running back they have.
Carryon Johnson.
Yes, sir. Yeah, definitely. So I mean,
I know because I have him in my keepers team.
Oh yeah. So definitely. I think Swift will be in the rotation and contribute good to the passing game. But other than that, Lions fans, in my opinion, Matt Patricia could be on the hot seat this year. With a few injuries and messing around, the Lions can end up with a 4-game win season. I have the Lions predicted at 6-10. So, I mean, that's pretty good. If Coach Patricia falls below 6 wins, I do believe he'll be back in New England with Belichick.
I do not want to. I don't want to see that anywhere but New England. Let him go anywhere else, please. You said 6-10. What does Vegas say? Vegas say over and under on that?
Well, the over and under for the Lions is 6.5 games. So the over is -130. The under is +100. I'm gonna take Vegas money and go with the under at 6 wins.
Yeah, they play the NFC South, and that's not an easy division. None of those teams are an easy win. Then they also get the AFC. Let me see. They get the Colts, Jaguars, Texans, and Titans. And that's pretty much their schedule on top of Green Bay, Minnesota, and the Bears. So
brutal.
I don't know if I'm going to find 6 games in here. Chicago, maybe week 1. It's at home. At Green Bay, I don't think you're going to win that. At Arizona, I don't see you're not going to win that because Arizona's a young team, but they're much better now with Hopkins there. New Orleans, hell no. Bye week. And then they get Jacksonville. Maybe that might be your first one. Then you get at Atlanta. Yeah, a lot of question marks there, but Atlanta's still a better team. The Colts, definitely not. Minnesota. At Minnesota, I don't think so. Washington, 2. Carolina, maybe. Houston, late in the season, maybe Houston just folds the whole season and the Dolphins get a higher draft pick. Seems to be the topic of every single episode. Houston should just lose every single game. At Chicago, Green Bay, Tennessee, Tampa, Minnesota. Looking at definitely under 6 games. Maybe 6-10 is correct. Maybe you're right, but it's going to be tough to even get 6 wins. Johnny, give me something. Tell me something about the Detroit Lions that we don't know that. Give me numbers. I know you're a historical genius.
The curse of Bobby Lane. And every single Lions fan knows exactly what I'm talking about because to them, it's like the curse of the Billy Goat for the Chicago Cubs or the curse of the Bambino for the Boston Red Sox. Most of those teams after, 86 or 100 years finally went on to win a title. Well, in 1958, there was a guy named Bobby Lane who played for the Lions who was just a stud. I mean, stud player. They decided to trade him. He said the Lions will never win another title as long as after doing this. And they haven't even gotten to a Super Bowl. We're coming up on Super Bowl 55. So aside from 1958, we're going to go to the 55th Super Bowl. They haven't been to one. They had one of the best players I've ever seen in my lifetime in Barry Sanders. They got Matthew Stafford, which, like you said, love him or hate him, he's got great numbers. He's got a great arm. I just feel with Stafford, it's kind of like he doesn't have that extra little hit that can he get you into the playoffs? If he gets you into the playoffs, can he take you far in the playoffs? Or is he going to be completely dependent on you building an incredible team around him? Patricia is a defensive coordinator, won Super Bowls under Bill Belichick, had a chance to build that defense. Hasn't really done a great job of it since he's been there. I mean, I think they finished something like in the low 20s, high teens. They weren't a great defense. They were second, bottom half of the league in defense. I do like DeAndre Swift. I like them coming out of college. I think he's going to add a lot to that offense. But again, the Lions offensively under Stafford have always put up points, have always put up numbers, have always put up yards, and can score touchdowns. But they tend to lose games, 27-24, 24-21. They lose because I don't think that defense is good enough. They haven't really added the playmakers going forward. I'm with Coach Kelly on this, man. I'm taking the under. I see them winning. I see them with another 4-5. Maybe the ball bounces their way on Thanksgiving against the Packers. And hey, hell, they won 6. So they'll make it a push. But I don't see anything past that. And I definitely agree with Coach K that Patricia's definitely on the hot seat. And if they got another 4 or 5 win season, he's gone. And yes, he's probably going back to New England. Let's be honest.
Unfortunately, we keep saying that. I guess it's going to happen. But, yeah, he is one of the coaches on the hot seat this season. And they just, I'm happy to be a Dolphin fan. That's all I got to say. And I know in my lifetime we haven't been any good, but it's definitely not a curse. And maybe some people might say it's a Dan Marino curse. And I think it's about time that people actually start saying
there's
that.
For us long-standing Dolphin fans, there's something called the curse of Don Shula. The way they ushered Shula out when they wanted to bring Jimmy Johnson in, they kind of gave him the boot. And Shula, I mean, God rest his soul, passed away a few months ago. At the age of 89 or something, like 90 or whatever it was. But he's a legend down here. He brought 2 Super Bowls. He was first team to go to 3 straight Super Bowls with Miami Dolphins, and he's got an expressway. He's got a cup. He's got a trophy named after him, and they literally did everything short of kicking him out the door to get in Jimmy Johnson. And ever since then, the Jimmy Johnson teams were pretty good because Jimmy built them, but they didn't get very far. They basically wasted Marino's last few years, and ever since then, it has been a whirlwind of caca for the last 20 years. But we're not talking about the Miami Dolphins. We're talking about the NFC North. But God bless Brian Flores. That's all.
Yeah. And with that being said, I don't even want to talk about how hatred coaches are not very successful. We're going to go straight into the Bears because I'm not going to mention it. The Bears, Leo Mack, Trubisky, quote unquote, maybe. We'll see. And Nick Foles. Some people have this as one of the best defenses in the league. They definitely have one of the best defensive lines in the league. Cohen, for a little while, was a very good player. He is a very good player, very speedy player, very special player. But their question mark is obviously Trubisky. Is Trubisky out? Does he have the talent to show that he should be there? I guess we're going to find out this season because I think if he doesn't show up, he is definitely going to be benched very quickly. So, Coach K, tell me, what do you see in Trubisky that he's missing? Compare him to Nick Foles a little bit because that's like the new man in town. And, Nick Foles has started in a few teams. He's not going to – well, sorry. Not that he's not going to take the Super Bowl, but I don't know if he's talented enough to carry this type of an offense like this. But what do you think? Compare Nick Foles and Trubisky for us, please.
I think Mitchell Trubisky has been missing the support of a good coaching staff to kind of teach him the game the way it needs to be taught on a professional level. Nick Foles coming in, he's a veteran player, a Super Bowl champion, and MVP winner also of the Super Bowl. If Nick Foles is willing to open himself up to giving Mitchell Trubisky advice, I think he can be a good mentor to him and help him grow. In the offseason, one of Nick Foles' old quarterback coaches from the Philadelphia Eagles has come to Chicago Bears. So I believe we'll see more of the Eagles, Andy Reid type of offense put into play for Nick Foles and possibly Mitchell Trubisky also. So, I mean, with that being said, I think the Bears are going in the right direction to try to open up the offense, to try to put up points and kind of make a break and gauge whether Mitchell Trubisky is going to stay or he's going to leave. Nick Foles, he's not there for the long term. He's had his run of injuries. He's kind of getting up there in athletic age where it's to the point of, his professional career as an athlete is almost over. So it's kind of Mitchell Trubisky to learn and see if he's going to compete and want to stay in Chicago.
Yeah, I think Nick Foles is going to be more of a support to Trubisky. I think he's the type of guy that he can help him in the sideline, put on the headset, Not to say that Nick Foles can't play or he won't play, but he was a signing that is to support Trubisky. I don't think the Bears are done with Trubisky. He was drafted pretty high, and I personally think he's talented. Does he throw a lot of interceptions? He doesn't have the numbers, the play style, but I think Nick Foles will help him in the playbook. He's going to help him read defenses more and just become a better quarterback. Because with that defensive line and a guy like Khalil Mack on your side, you really don't have to score a lot of points.
Yes.
He's the type of guy that you could put in front of Aaron Rodgers, and he might not beat Aaron Rodgers, but he's definitely going to slow him down to give the Bears offense enough time to put a few points on the board and maybe steal some games here and there, and we'll see. Some people have them winning the division, like I said before. So they're a very interesting team. Johnny, what do you think about the Bears, man?
I think the Bears' defense is absolutely amazing. A couple of years ago, I remember when the Rams ended up going to the Super Bowl, they had a Sunday night game against the Rams that the Rams were just, I mean, that offense was clicking, and they went into Chicago, man, and that defense just clamped them down. I think Khalil Mack is an absolute stud. That defense really knows what they're doing. They can make a lot of trouble for a lot of people. I think Matt Nagy is a good coach, and he coached them up really, really well. But at the end of the day, it all falls back on the fact that they gave up a number one, 2/3, and a fourth to move up one slot to be able to draft Mitchell Trubisky. He looked pretty good his rookie year. He showed us, he's a very athletic kid. He's got a decent arm. Yeah, maybe he can develop into something. I think Coach K hit on it that the coaching staff has kind of let him down, and it's sad to see because Matt Nagy comes from Kansas City. He was their offensive coordinator. He knows how to build an offense. You've seen running back after running back after running back, pass catcher, just dole out stat after stat after stat. So he can put an offense together to put points on the board. But Trubisky is a guy that maybe he's not ready. Maybe he's not the guy, God forbid, or maybe he just hasn't been coached the right way. I do like the fact that they, like I said, Foles can be his mentor because I don't think they're bringing in Foles because they're giving up on Trubisky. I think they're bringing in Foles because he's a Super Bowl MVP. He led a team to a title, knows how to win, and can teach Trubisky a thing or two. And maybe they can salvage giving up all that for a guy like Trubisky. But ultimately, I think that's where it's going to lie because if he can't get that offense to go and he can't take that next step, then they're going to be stuck in these 10-6, 9-6, defensive-minded games against, which defense can hold the team longer. And eventually their defense is going to wear down, and they're going to end up losing games, and they're going to maybe fall out of the playoffs, out of the playoff chase. Does he have the talent? Yes. Can he take that step? We don't know. I think you regress the second year. We're going to see what happens this year, but that defense is definitely for sure. For real, they are the modern day monsters of the Midway.
Yeah, you can't blame a quarterback. Look, Ryan Tannehill had how many coordinators or coaches when he was down here? You can't expect a quarterback, a guy that's not Aaron Rodgers like talents and be super successful in the NFL. And changing his coaches, changing his coordinators, bringing in a new offense. You have to let a guy get used to at least a year or two with that playbook and let him get acquainted with it and the play style. So I don't think it's Trubisky's last year. I don't think the Bears have given up on Trubisky just because they brought in Nick Foles. I think this is a year for him to prove himself, and I think he will start the whole year. I don't think Nick Foles will see the field too much. And we'll see what the Bears could do with that defense, basically. I don't see them getting anywhere past third place in this division. I think the Vikings and Green Bay are just too good. Regardless of what Trubisky does, they were 25th in passing, 27th in rushing. Total yards per game, they were 29th. Even if you do improve and let's say you're 20th, you move up 9 spots, it's still not enough to get anywhere past third place. Kelly, what does Vegas say about that?
with the addition of Ted Ginn to the Chicago Bears
Every time
and
his
Robert
name is
Quinn on defense, the over and under for the Bears is 8.5 games, which is a reach, a major reach. I'm taking the under at plus 130 for the Bears to probably fall somewhere about 7-9.
Yeah, I'm taking the under. I'm not. I
Mm,
can't say the Bears are going to win 9 or 10 games
no,
and
not
they're going to be third place in this division. What is everyone else going to go fucking undefeated or something? What's going on here?
mm-hmm.
Yeah, Vegas is out of their mind with that one. I'm going under.
That's free money for you all.
Yeah, going under. Easy choice.
Mm.
By the way, don't go bet. I'll keep saying it every time we talk about betting. Don't go waste your money on betting. We're just giving you the numbers for you to enjoy it, and maybe you want to bet. Don't be
Handicap.
commenting anything on YouTube. Don't comment anything like, "Oh, you made me spend my money." No, it's your money. I didn't make you spend anything.
There's an old
Handicap
adage with bettors: only bet when you can afford to lose.
Handicap responsibly.
Yeah, exactly. So we started. My coach and myself had the Vikings in first. Johnny, you gave your speech on the Packers, but we're gonna go ahead and go with the Packers now. We're gonna go with probably the most talked about first draft day pick of the year so far. And by the way, Aaron Rodgers handled it beautifully. Like he was Aaron Rodgers-esque when he came out and he gave his speech and he was like, he didn't blame anyone. He didn't talk shit. He took care of business and he is the leader of his team and he knows that. And he is very concentrated on maybe getting that next ring. He's not letting anyone distract him, which is very important, especially for a team that you are the heart and soul. Coach K, how good is love? And how much of a waste of a pick was that?
I can honestly say the bowl game where Jordan Love played in, he opened my eyes and impressed me for what he can blossom into in the NFL. Is he a year 1 starter? No, I don't think so. Maybe a year 2, year 3 starter. He can possibly come in, but up under a Mike McCarthy system, he may have been a little bit better. Coach Matt LaFleur, I'm not too sure of where he's going to take the Green Bay Packers in the second season. He's kind of trying to mold them into his likeness, but Matt LaFleur, he doesn't have a history of staying nowhere long. Looking at his resume, he's only a year here, a year there, 2 years, and I mean he's always on the move to the next open position for him. So I mean, for me to kind of understand Matt LaFleur, his philosophy on offense, his philosophy on defense, this right here might be the first time where I can, kind of observe and learn what type of coach he is. But he basically had the keys to somebody else's Ferrari last season in coaching the Packers from last season. As we discussed, I mean, there were no major free agent moves for Green Bay, which is normal for them. The draft wasn't that impressive to me. I think the only addition that I knew of, and he has killed me many years in my daily fantasy league, is Devin Funchess. He was added to the pack. So Devin Funchess has grown into a good slot receiver 2 type receiver, possession receiver. We may see some good things from him.
They have Devontae Adams, so that's a pretty good combination.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty hefty 1, 2, 3. I guess you could say 1, 2 or 1, 3, whatever combination they put on the field. And I'm sure it's going to change up, but it's a pretty lethal combination. That's hard to cover.
Yes, I think Coach LaFleur has been talking run heavy first. So for you fantasy guys, Aaron Jones might be the guy for you all to consider.
Yeah, I think Johnny, didn't you have Aaron Aaron Jones in fantasy in our league? No.
I don't think. No, I didn't have him. But in the fantasy draft we did with the guys with the Nordic football guys, I was able to get Aaron Jones and yeah, we'll definitely touch on him a little bit.
Yeah.
Buck, sound like you taking no stealing my picks again for another season.
Can't wait for the fantasy draft.
Yeah, neither can I, even though I'm pretty garbage at drafting, but it's okay. But yeah, I think you're right. I think everything you said was correct. And to be absolutely fair, Johnny could be the wide receiver in Green Bay, and he's going to catch some passes.
Yeah,
I have amazing hands, by the way. And people will attest to the fact. I may be a big guy. I don't have the speed I had when I was younger, but I have amazing hands. I catch everything.
Johnny, stop it. Go ahead, take over. What did they give us the Packers talk again? Stop.
Well, since we're talking about the draft and we're talking about the fantasy draft, let's talk about the real draft. Let's talk about what this became and how going forward you're going to hear these names: A-Rod and J-Lo. And I don't mean the power couple that are multi-billionaires. I'm talking about Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love. That's what they're going to be referred to from here on in. Now I'm looking at their draft right now. I don't understand. I think Jordan Love is they wanted to find the next Mahomes. They found.
Can I interrupt you real quick because I feel bad now that I'm thinking about it. Love is not a waste of a pick. It's not the player that was chosen. It's the position that was chosen. They could have picked someone else.
Correct.
It has nothing to do with Love. It has to do with the fact that the Packers didn't help Aaron Rodgers out.
Correct.
Keep going.
Correct. By the way, this is strictly for my boy Rob, who is the greatest Packers fan I've ever known. And we have been talking about going to Lambeau, and one day we will pull it off. So, Rob, this analysis is strictly for you. So, regarding their draft, they traded up to get Jordan Love. Now, they want to find the next Patrick Mahomes. Jordan Love has the biggest arm in the draft by far, but he's exceptionally raw. And he took a step back from his junior year to his senior year. He was much better 2 years ago. He had more picks last year. And when you're playing at Utah State, your numbers should be through the roof. Mm-hmm. You're not playing the great level of competition. Your numbers should be amazing, and they weren't. They really weren't. Now that he's got the arm, man, does he ever have the arm? He's got a Josh Allen arm. He's got an Aaron Rodgers arm. He's probably got a better arm than Aaron Rodgers, but he doesn't have the accuracy that Aaron Rodgers does. Mm. He's not number 12. Yes. And then you go down the list after you traded up and you gave the Dolphins picks to take Jordan Love.
Thank you.
In the first round, in the what is it, the second round, you take a running back. You already got Aaron Jones. I mean, he's the second most important Aaron in the entire state of Wisconsin after Aaron Rodgers. You have Aaron Jones. Why are you taking a running back? And then you waited till the 6th round to try to address your offensive line with 3 linemen that I kind of know who they are because I know who Jake Cantor from Oregon is. I know who John Runyon from Michigan is. I know who they are. They're developmental guys. They're guys you bring in, and they're on your practice squad or they're your backups. And maybe in a couple of years, maybe they're a spot starter for you. Maybe they're a backup. Great, that's fantastic. You have to protect your franchise. You have to protect the guy that got you to the NFC Championship game last year. Yes, you got run over by a 4th-string running back, but that's neither here nor there. You got to the NFC Championship game. And I agree with Coach. One thing he said, Matt LaFleur is going to be run heavy with Aaron Jones. The most important thing for the Green Bay Packers, and again, Chef, you hit it right on the head. Aaron Rodgers conducted himself like an Class A number 1 professional the entire weekend of that draft, when basically he saw his entire career flash before his eyes and basically him slowly getting booted out the door. But this still can be salvaged. This team won 11 games last year. They went to the NFC Championship game pretty much on the entire on Aaron Jones and Aaron Rodgers. Now, if they are going to move on for Aaron Rodgers, maybe he saw something in Jordan Love. But if he's not going to stick around, like Coach said, then I don't know why you make those moves. Now, like I said earlier in the broadcast, Aaron Rodgers is the one guy that can get you to the Super Bowl. The one guy probably in this entire division that can get you to the Super Bowl. And his window is closing fast. He's already 36 years old. So why wouldn't you load up? There were like 36 receivers drafted this draft. You didn't take one. Why? Why didn't you take one? Devin Funches? I would have taken 3 of them and hoped 2 of them hit and given them more weapons
Yes.
to put you over the top. But they didn't do that. Is it going to work out? Are they going to go run heavy? Is Aaron Rodgers going to be basically running, an RPO, handing off to Aaron Jones, the occasional swing pass, and running for his life behind no line? Probably. So, yes, I think the Packers can win this division. I think they have the number 1 guy to win this division. But ultimately, I think the A-Rod and J-Lo of the NFL now is going to be a lot of hoopla and a lot of off-the-field thing, and I think it's going to bring this team down.
I agree. I also, to add to all of that, I believe they're, once again, because we've seen it before, they're putting too much pressure on Aaron Rodgers. This is in the NBA. You can't have LeBron James carry you. You can't have the Greek freak in Milwaukee carry you. The NFL is a team game. You need to have every single position if you want to make the run to the Super Bowl. We see it year in and year out, no matter how good or bad the teams are or how they're all good teams. They're there for a reason. You can't expect Aaron Rodgers at this age to carry your team in a pretty decently, it's not the most difficult division, but you're playing the Vikings twice a year. You're playing the young Bears that you don't really care about their offense. You care about the defense that's facing Aaron Rodgers, and it's a good defense. On top of that, he already has to play the Saints. He has to play Atlanta. He has to play Tampa. It's just too much. And you did not take care of your star. You didn't get him weapons. You didn't get an offensive line. And at the end of the day, I just think it's too much where even if the Vikings are missing, we'll get into that now, even if the Vikings are missing Dalvin Cook, which he's holding out, it's not enough. And the front office didn't do their job to take care of their star player. And if you want to leave, you can come down to the Miami Dolphins. Shout out to the front office of the Dolphins if they want to trade Aaron Rodgers to the Dolphins. That being said, let's get right into the Vikings. Dalvin Cook, Cousins. My personal favorite receiver in the league, Adam Thielen, because he's won me a bunch of games in fantasy. And I think he's by far the best receiver in this division, easily. No doubt about it. Minnesota Vikings winning the division. How far do they go in the playoffs is yet to be seen. But, Johnny, why don't you start us off? Give us your hot takes on the Minnesota Vikings this year, and what do you expect to see from them?
Well, I expect to see Dalvin Cook line up on the field. That's what I expect to see. That's what every Vikings fan expects to see because he is a supreme talent. Yes, he's a Seminole. Growing up as a Hurricane.
Unfortunately.
He's a Seminole, so I'll have to forgive him for that. But even though he was a Seminole, I absolutely adored Dalvin Cook. As a matter of fact, my buddy Rob, we were talking when he got drafted, even though they obviously ended up with Aaron Jones and they did all right, but how he was sitting there in the second round and the Packers didn't get him. McCarthy didn't take a shot on him, and the Vikings ended up scooping him up. Dalvin Cook really, really needs to resolve the situation, and he needs to play because he is a special, special talent. And if he's healthy, God willing, 16 games, they're not just going back to the playoffs. They can make a lot of noise in the playoffs because, now Thielen is the number 1 guy. As from what I see, they drafted Justin Jefferson from LSU, who's a beast, who's an absolute beast. And they got Kirk Cousins, and Kirk Cousins went down in New Orleans, went down into the Bayou in the wildcard game, and he beat the New Orleans Saints, and he eliminated them. And they eventually, I think they ended up getting beat by the Niners. But regardless, that team got to the playoffs. They have a tremendous defense. They've always had a tremendous defense. Zimmer's a hell of a coach, but they need Dalvin Cook on that field. If Dalvin Cook's not on that field, that team will regress and will lose a couple of games, and my Green Bay Packers will probably overtake them. But that's neither here nor there. On I hope Dalvin Cook does resolve it. For the fans in Minnesota who have been probably longer suffering than the Dolphins, they deserve a shot to get to the Super Bowl. They almost got there a couple of years ago. They ended up losing to the Eagles in the NFC title game after the Minnesota Miracle, whatever it was called. But they lost Stephon Diggs. They traded him to Buffalo. So Thielen's going to be the number one guy. Now they got Jefferson. They need Dalvin Cook. They need that defense to come back and let it run to the playoffs, man. And then Cousins can get them far. We'll see how far. You need Dalvin and you need health.
I agree with everything you just said. Coach K, before you give us the over and under, which is probably a horrible bet to take with the Vikings, what can you tell me about that defense, man? What do you expect to see from this team? Cousins could be a good quarterback. Do you see Cousins as is he that guy that's going to take the Vikings into the Super Bowl maybe this year, or are they going to get to the NFC Championship? How you have them winning the division just like I do? How far do you think they could go in the playoffs with the talent that they have around Cousins?
Well, first off, the Vikings have lost a lot of players to defense on defense from free agency. Xavier Rhodes, a couple of the defensive line players, but Coach Mike Zimmer, as Bach said, he's a great coach. He is a defensive genius. I can guarantee you what they have in Minnesota right now. All it is next man up football. Those guys are up. They're ready to play, and they'll probably open up a lot of eyes in that NFC. I was about to call it NFC Central, that NFC North.
Old school, man. Old school.
Yes. As Bach said, also a special talent with Dalvin Cook. I 100% agree. That kid is a special talent when it comes to playing that position of running back. What will make that special talent better is the marriage of Gary Kubiak coming to the Minnesota Vikings as the offensive coordinator. And a lot of us may know Gary Kubiak for his zone blocking style of running, which made Terrell Davis great in Denver. And was it somewhere else where he coached?
Kubiak was
he had great.
Kubiak was a coach of the Broncos when they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, because he coached in Denver and he coached in Houston too. But Gary Kubiak has had some great seasons with that play action, running, throwing the ball. Cousins, I think he could be a good play action quarterback. Adam Thielen, the way this new NFL is, he can get open. He'll make the catches. He'll make the plays. He may catch some deep balls downfield. Justin Jefferson from LSU, another kid from a program that has been great for football. He'll come in making some plays. I have the Vikings at 9-7 in the black and blue division. I just think that in this division, everybody's going to beat up on everybody. Nobody's not going to come out with a true dominant record. Vegas has the Vikings, the favorite to win the division, at plus 165. The over and under for the Minnesota Vikings is at 9. So basically, I'm at 9-7. It's a push. Don't waste your money trying to bet on them to go over 9 games.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you the schedule right now. They start the season at home versus Green Bay. Then they travel to Indianapolis to go to the Colts. Then they get Tennessee at home. Then they go at Houston, at Seattle. They get Atlanta at home. Then they get their bye week. You're looking at tough schedule. I do expect them to beat Green Bay at home. I'm going to say they split with Green Bay this year. And that first week, excuse me, that first week in Green Bay, I'll give them the win. I do think that they go into Indianapolis and win that game. Tennessee, it's a tough game. At Houston, they should win. At Seattle, it's another tough game. Maybe that's a wild card preview, playoff preview early in the season. It could be. Atlanta, at Green Bay, they get Detroit at home. at Chicago. Then they get Dallas, Carolina, Jacksonville at home. So they get 3 weeks straight at home. That's a big deal. That's a big deal because you have to win at least 2 of those 3 easily. You should win 2 of those 3. Maybe the one game that you lose is maybe against Dallas, but that could maybe be an NFC Championship preview. You never know. And then they finally get at Tampa, the Tom Brady matchup. Then they get Chicago at home, at New Orleans, and they end the season at Detroit. So, again, not an easy schedule for any of these teams in the division. And I think you're right. It's a division that they always pound on each other. It's just like the AFC North. They're going to beat each other up, and the last person standing gets into the playoffs, but sometimes that person in the playoffs is not at full strength.
Yes.
I expect to see what we've seen from Cousins, maybe a little bit more. I think maybe he has a little more tricks up his sleeve. I expect to see Dalvin Cook signs. I expect him to see him playing. I don't think he's going to hold out for this season. And I expect, like you said, that defense, next man up. Johnny, you got anything else?
I think it's really, it's a 2-team dogfight for supremacy in this division. The Norris division, the black and blue division, the NFC Central.
What is that from? What's the NFC Central?
The NFC Central was these 4 teams and the Bucks. When the Bucks were the creamsicle Bucks back in the all the way through like the late 90s. So, which is why, if you remember, when Brett Favre was still with the Packers and Warren Sapp went into the Bucks and they changed their uniform, they played each other twice a year because the Bucks were still part of the NFC Central. They didn't realign until I think the early 2000s when the Texans came into the league. Anyways, the NFC Central is awesome. November, December, Lambeau, Soldier Field, just knock them down, drag them out, whether it's the playoffs, snow, ice, the pictures of Dick Butkus sitting there, all blood and mud and everything. That's football. This is the football division. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens with the Packers and the Days of Our Lives soap opera they now have going on. They brought up on themselves. I definitely, like I keep saying, I'll keep harping all year until he gets back. Dalvin Cook goes to the Vikings. Dalvin Cook gets back. He's signed. He's healthy. Healthy's another thing because remember he does have a little bit of an injury history. If he stays healthy, this team can do it, can make a lot of noise. But going back to what Coach K said, very, very, very true. I would be hard pressed right now to tell you that any one of these teams is going to win 12, 13 games. They're going to beat each other up. They're going to be black and blue all the way through, all the way to the end of December, and one of them is going to be left standing. So,
and I think the fun part about it is that whoever's in second place in the division might not have enough wins to get into the wild card, so you really have to win the division. You might be in real big trouble because there's a couple of divisions that you have a few teams that could win 9, 10 games and multiple teams in divisions. So it really is a battle for first place in the division, and it's going to be a brutal season for looking at these schedules. That is a rough draw for this division. That being said, guys, this is In the Trenches, NFC North. We have more to come. Please subscribe, like. If you don't like what we say, if you have any comments, if you have any ideas, comment below, and we'll answer. We'll bring them into the videos. Thank you so much for joining us. Game On, a sports podcast for everyone. Good night.
Good night, everybody.